I almost said good morning. Good afternoon, good evening,
morning.
everybody. Hey, somebody could have woken up just now, so it could
morning
be
somewhere.
morning for them. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. It is the Star Trek stream. We are back here with part 2 of episodes that should not have been. And I am, of course, joined by Skeptalk,
Hi, everybody.
Irate Prostate,
Hola!
Dr. Functional,
Yo.
and the One-Ton Hammer.
I just woke up. Good morning.
And so we're back because there's so many we didn't cover like nearly everything the last week, so we're back to talk about more things that should not have been. And I just remembered that Scribe in chat last week said one that I'm agreeing with: Code of Honor. That was
Funny you should mention that, BP, because that's my avatar right now.
Oh god!
I was just going to say, isn't that from Code of Honor Functional?
I think
thinking that.
I think that's one of like the alpha should not have happened episodes.
Yeah, it's
Tell
just
us why, BP.
Tasha is the strong white woman.
oh god, it was just bad. Like,
What's the story behind that episode? They were going to have Whoopi Goldberg on the show because she wanted to be on the show.
yeah,
And she wanted to know what the show was about, and they gave her a copy of the episode Code of Honor.
oh Jesus.
Something about that
No.
episode where they was like trying to talk somebody into it, something like that. And they gave them that episode. It was like the worst episode they could
That
give
is
them.
no, you do not know. That is horrible. Why
Are
would
you
give
serious?
That
Yeah.
script to
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's horrible. Oh Jesus, like
That's almost as horrible as that one officer wearing the dress.
Oh, the scant. They called them scants.
Scants?
Yeah, it was
God.
guys in skirts, and it was a skirt pants combination called a scant.
oh my
I know what you're
God.
talking about. They only ever had extras do it, but you can see them strolling around. What was that TNG?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was the very
That's
first
horrible.
episode, Encounter
Yeah,
at Farpoint.
Yeah. That's interesting memory.
It gives me nightmares to this day. He did not have the legs to pull off that scant.
Oh my God, it's horrifying. Yeah, I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But Code of Honor was just like, you shall have no Tasha Yar and no vaccine. and that battle between Tasha Yar and what was her name, Yarina,
Yeah.
which is like really you had Lieutenant Yar versus Yarina. Like you couldn't come up with a name
Yeah, really?
a
Seriously?
little further, a little bit more like not the same. You put Ina on the end of Yar's name, and there was like that's just, and it sounded literally. It's if you are, I dare you to watch that scene with your eyes shut and tell me what it sounds like,
Uh-oh.
No.
because it don't sound like a battle. Let's just
That's what you consider
say
a battle.
that.
Love is a battlefield.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just terrible.
Are you
Like,
saying it sounds like copulation?
It does very
Like
much.
if it was maybe one or two of the things, it could have passed as a middling episode, but it was just one bad thing piled on top of another, on top of another, on top of another.
Yeah.
That you're just the whole thing. You just take a step back and you go, "Is this real? Did they actually put this out?"
Like and we don't usually, cry racism or whatever, but that's a pretty bad episode.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. The savage black planet that want the white women. Like, wait, what? On top of they're kind of like barbarians and believe in trial by combat and all this uncivilized, what we even today consider uncivilized.
Yeah.
And it's just like, holy shit!
And you've got Troy like counseling Picard that he has to do all this posturing, like they're like almost animalistic, and you need to posture back to them. It's like, what the?
Yeah, it was not good, and like I said, with so many levels just sort of baked on top of each other, it was just. I think this is probably one of the pinnacle episodes that should never have existed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I yeah, Code of Honor was just. I skip it, honestly, when I'm rewatching.
Oh, I've never rewatched that.
I skip it.
Yeah, it's one of the hard ones to watch. Not like season 1 as a whole was very easy to get through, but this just, oh my god.
Yeah, season 1 of TNG was TNG finding itself, TNG not being TOS.
Yes.
And finding out that trying to be TOS was a mistake. It's just my opinion, but
No, I totally agree with you on that, yeah.
I think that they should have, instead of trying for a 26 episode season, they should have done what they did with Voyager in the first season and done like 16 episodes.
16 high quality episodes,
Yeah,
with lots of original writing.
Because there were, like, for example, Haven. There's another episode in season 1 that I just can't stand. That whole Troy's arranged marriage.
Oh God!
And
I remember that one now.
Petty bickering between Loxana and
Loxana.
the human woman,
Yeah,
the human lady.
Loxana deserved a better episode than that.
Or Last Outpost that builds on this sort of pro-human, anti-alien theme that kind of prevails every once in a while. That's really not very Star Trekian.
Yeah.
You think about it, it's more about coming together and finding commonality and working through the differences rather than, oh, the Ferengi are just, again, savages, unreasonable sort of caricatures, and that humanity's philosophy and outlook on the universe is the only right authority.
Yeah.
And that's just no. Season 1 was. Yeah.
Skep, you had a list, didn't you? You had a list of things.
What did I do with that list? One of the ones that was on my list, I remember, was Spock's brain.
Yes. Oh my god.
Which was it is, and it's the genesis of one of the immortal lines in Trek lore, where Bones says, "His brain is gone." Mm-hmm. That's something that if you've we've all hung with Trekkies before. Everybody knows what that came from.
Yeah.
And they say it a lot in other contexts. When something is stupid, his brain is gone. But other than that, it just was a dumb episode that was shabbily written and it was a badly written episode, bad execution of a bad idea. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Spock's brain was pretty ridiculous.
They've surgically removed his brain.
It's pretty,
but
funny parts in it though. Like when Spock's getting his brain put back together, and he's
at the end
giving Bones a hard time about it. It's pretty funny.
You shouldn't have reconnected his mouth or something. He says something like that.
I knew it. I shouldn't have done it.
We took that risk, Doctor.
Brain. What is brain?
Oh yeah. The female, ironically uttering "What is brain?" line.
She was quite a hottie too, man.
God.
Yeah,
boy,
she's amazing. So
Spock's brain is a good one.
Is that the one where Uhura and Kirk kiss?
No.
No.
That was the one with Socrates and the little dwarf guy.
God.
That was a great episode.
Oh, that was trying to think which episode that was.
Was the one where they were tap dancing next to his head and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great episode. I can't remember the name of it. Blind knows the name of it, don't you?
I see with
Yeah,
me
you
my
know.
TOS episode knowledge is lacking. When I get into TOS and Enterprise territory, I'm not that on point.
I guess I can be pushing
Now,
my food.
another bad one. If you want to know another bad one from TOS,
Who mourns for Adonis?
Interracial kiss. Oh, that's the one with the guy with the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Grabbed
Right.
the ship with a hand. That's a different episode.
Yeah.
Kirk
but
and her
for a bad episode,
Plato's stepchildren was the name of it.
Plato's stepchildren. That is it. That is them.
Yes.
That's
Thank you, Google.
I knew it was some Greek name.
and the children shall lead.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
like that
a
one?
Fire,
a
fire,
dumbass
come and go.
episode. in my
Call the
opinion.
angel. We will go far away, far to see. Friendly angel. I wonder if an actual child
Friendly angel.
wrote that. You'd have to be a child to write something so simplistic.
God, the children are like literally gesticulating, on the bridge and making the crew do things.
Oh, that's the one
and-
with like the Children of the Corn kids.
Yes, exactly. That's the
That scared me though a little bit.
Okay.
When I was
Yeah.
a kid
Great
and that
analogy.
came out, and that they showed that angel and his
Malachi.
face got all screwy, and he got, I was like, ah. That actually scared me when I was a kid.
really.
Yeah, easily impressionable when I was a kid.
I guess I was old enough to laugh it off, but anyway, I thought that was a dumb episode. Not one of Star Trek's great moments. Let me see if I can find that list. I had it.
It was kind of cool there, where Sue was at the helm, and there are knives coming towards him on the screen. He doesn't want to change course because he doesn't want to run into a knife.
Wow.
What?
There's what I had a TOS one in my head and I can't remember what it is now.
What happened in it?
No, I'm trying to that's what I mean. I'm trying to remember the episode because I can't remember what one I had in mind.
Oh,
I don't like the one where they were fighting the Klingons with knives and swords. That's the one I didn't like. You remember that one? There was some kind of spinny thing that was moving through the ship, and it was always above everybody else. And it was like a little light show, a little red
I
and
think I remember
Yeah.
what you're talking
it
about.
would make them fight each other. It would turn all the weapons into swords instead of phasers, and it trapped a
Yeah.
bunch of people in the secondary hull. So that there was only a certain amount of Klingons, a certain amount of Federation personnel, and they were fighting each other with swords. And the answer was to be happy. They had to laugh with each other.
There were a couple of emotion ones, like that one where you had to be happy and laugh, or the one where you had to be angry to fight off that. I think the one I'm thinking of is Eden or something like that, where they.
The one where we had to fight the spores.
Yeah,
where Spock
where
was
they-
laughing on the planet.
Yeah.
Another potty in that episode.
Yeah, and Kirk had to like
easy, big fella.
go.
Yeah, I know.
Kirk had to like basically insult Spock's mother.
Called him a half breed, right?
Called him a half breed. Yeah. That one I didn't really like that one. I thought that one was kind of.
Music was kind of cool though.
Yeah,
I
the
like
music was all right.
That music in the background, that little very, very soft. You're out in a field and there's butterflies, and they play this music in the background that was kind of like fit it really well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's nice.
The music was good, but I
The guy's name was Sandoval. I remember that part of it.
Yeah.
The guy who was running the compound, his name was Sandoval.
Yeah.
And he looked like he had like about as much physical prowess as Joe Biden. He was like really wimpy guy.
That's not
and
good.
Bones takes him out in like a half a second. He goes, boom, and the guy just falls on the ground. It's like, wow, that was quick. I don't know, Sandoval. I did that.
And there was obviously it was a good episode, but the tar monster that killed Yar,
Yeah.
that
Skip.
fed on
Dude, I was going
fear,
to mention that too.
Skin of
fed
evil.
on fear.
That is the only episode that I actually found that Denise Crosby was doing a good job. in.
It didn't
When
sound like
she-
Unusual.
they didn't really explain too much what was going on. I figure it would be a difficult episode for you to listen to because there's a lot of camera angles,
Mhm.
but not really.
The dialogue is pretty
Is it good?
explanatory.
Is it okay?
Um,
It seemed to me to be a lot of visual,
because you
but nothing
hear
else.
like you hear the creature move.
Oh, right,
And
that
then you
sludgy
assume
sound.
that it has enveloped somebody or whatever, and
It's got me.
yeah. Well, right when Riker does that,
What am I supposed to do about it?
Um, yeah, right. Like, but that episode, I found her goodbye speech was probably the only good acting that she did in
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole season.
It was touching.
Yeah. And but Skin of Evil was an interesting premise, but yeah, that suit, the rubber suit,
Mhm.
it even sounds cheesy. Like the movements and everything,
does.
they sound cheesy. Like I can't imagine how bad it looks, but it
Hey,
sounds
for the time, it was pretty
All right.
decent. But it doesn't. It definitely doesn't hold up. It does look like a cheap suit that they just threw some motor oil over.
When they killed her, they put this kind of design on her face. I guess they were trying to make it look like she was hit by a force and it was a bruise,
okay.
but it looked like somebody drew a flower on the side of her head.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
And it just did not look like something that was a wound of any kind.
Yeah. Oh God. Wikipedia snippet. You have to get up pretty oily in the morning.
Oh,
Oh,
I've got a. Oh, go ahead, Skep.
no. Go ahead.
Okay. A couple episodes actually from Voyager in the later seasons.
No,
Basically anything and everything that had to do with Fairhaven.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. I didn't
hated
like,
it.
I didn't like that Fairhaven.
The
thing.
romance arc with Janeway and
Michael
the
Sullivan. Yeah.
the spirit folk thing where they get taken. Like it's just
Yeah, I was not buying that either. I'm with you. Fairhaven is just cringe.
that might be the key to the problem with Voyager is not individual episodes, but episodes that contain something that makes all of those episodes bad.
Yeah.
And everything
Yeah.
else can be good about it, but when they take a premise, like that whole idea of what was the people that they first ran into that had head that was hair, what was solid? What was the name of those people again? The first bad guys,
The Kazon.
Kazon.
Kazon,
The whole idea of
They're
the Kazon
terrible.
was bad. If they took that whole idea out, the episodes were actually pretty good. It was just the Kazon that was bad. And the same thing with Fairhaven. Whenever
Yeah.
you bring up Fairhaven, that makes that episode bad. If it wasn't for that, it would have been good.
Yeah.
Or at least okay.
Or the Captain Proton stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of like the Invaders of the Fifth Dimension one.
Oh, the Bride of Chaotica.
No,
Can't
no,
be
the aliens that were from the Fifth Dimension or something,
Yeah.
and they didn't
Experimenting.
register. They didn't register. No, not the experimentation one. Where they couldn't register normal, quote unquote, normal life. They could only register the holodeck
Holographic
characters and the Doctor
yep,
because
yeah.
that's all that they could perceive.
Oh.
And so there was this neat underlying sort of, well, we can't even communicate with them. They can't see us, but they're killing us, which is a common enough theme in the show. But these are sentient, so it was different.
Yeah.
And once they start actually having a dialogue with the Doctor, who's the third dimension representative, and trying to talk them down into what they're doing, and trying to get them to realize, hey, this isn't real. Even though you might be perceiving it as real, it's not real. It's kind of like a reverse holodeck episode,
Yeah.
which is a common theme within the TNG era of, the holodeck goes awry and something happens and they have to figure their way out and usually have to try to beat some artificial intelligence to
Yeah.
beat the game, specifically, starting with the Moriarty angles. But this was just reverse. And I kind of like that idea. And the Captain Proton stuff was just sort of like This is just kind of like the
Vehicle.
setting,
Yeah.
the opening sort of setting.
Was kind of high camp humor.
Yeah,
Really. Like Bride of Chaotica was very
Just
much
awful.
was
That was
an
a
attempt.
fun episode.
Yeah, it was just camp humor. That's all it was.
Fun.
The one thing that I liked about the Captain Proton stuff was in the episode Night, when we first see the Malon. And 7 of 9 is with Harry and Tom in the holodeck. And they start up the simulation of Captain Proton. And the robot comes towards her and she goes, "I am Borg," and just stops the robot.
Yes.
And then goes computer end program and goes, "The robot has been neutralized. Can I go now?"
And the entire time while she's doing this, she's giving the two of them looks like, you're kidding, right? Like, this is nothing. Oh, that was good.
I am Borg.
But there's another Voyager episode that I tend to skip, and it's a shame because it's an interesting idea, but the execution is bad. And that episode is Remember. Not Remember Me, which is the TNG episode,
That's
which is
TNG, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, that was a good
Remember is the episode where they have these telepathic aliens
right.
on board, and B'Elanna keeps having these weird dreams about like how they basically killed off a bunch of their people because they wanted to.
They're
not-
revolutionaries or something like that.
something like that. But the way that they did it was just kind of weird and a little boring to me, and I tend to skip that episode. It's a season 3 episode. But and it's a shame because it's right after a really good episode, that False Prophets episode. I love that episode.
Manscotch had a good one in chat. It was the one with the super viruses.
I love that episode.
It was a good episode, well acted. I agree with all of that. The only thing I will say that's bad about it is the CGI was horrible.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was terrible. I don't blame you for not understanding, but it was just the CGI. I mean, does anyone else think it was terrible? I thought it was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Macrocosm, I believe, is the title.
Yes.
Yeah. That episode is hard to follow because there are big chunks of just
Visual
action
stuff.
Music.
and
Yeah.
music. Like you can hear Jane. You can definitely hear that Janeway is doing something, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what she's doing. If you're not sitting with somebody that's describing it to you, it's just, intense music and random noises that tell you that Janeway is probably opening panels, and you don't really know what she's
And-
doing.
Even with the aliens, there's just sort of a monotone zzz,
Yeah.
zzz. Like there's no. It's hard to emote with a buzzing sound, but you can't really get just through the audio cues. Like, what are they doing? Are they just hovering there? Are they moving? Are they fighting? What's going on?
This is going to be a tough episode for us because it's going to include a lot of Voyager stuff.
What about the Last Outpost?
Oh, the Last Outpost was kind of I didn't like it, and I think Functional mentioned it briefly earlier, was because it had that humans are better kind of
I didn't like the laser whip weapons. They never show up again.
that the Ferengi had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only for that episode, and then you never hear them again.
What's the one where Riker's like remembering all these other episodes from the
Oh,
past?
Shades of Grey.
That was the writer's
Yeah.
strike deal. I remember that.
Dude, that was a piece of shit.
You understand what the background was to that?
No, what's the
It was a
story?
writer's strike. So they didn't have anyone to write an episode. So that was what they came up with.
Really?
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Voyager. No, not Voyager. Enterprise finale, where Riker takes the role
Yeah.
of cook, and I was just like, really? I mean, I know you guys are prematurely ending the series, but this is the best you could have given us.
Everybody on Voyager hated that episode because it ended their show with a TNG episode.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I love John Frakes as much as the next heterosexual Star Trek fan, but I mean, that was just poor form.
Yeah, Wikipedia it was a clip show episode before, but yeah.
Shades of
I
Grey
liked it
was-
because I got to watch another episode of TNG again. I was like, oh, good, TNG, I like this. But I can understand people who were Enterprise fans not liking it too much.
Clip shows are never good.
No.
Did anyone else not really like the episode "The Outrageous Icona" in season 2 of Star Trek?
It was
TNG?
it was middling.
Yeah, it was like it was interesting to see Data try to find out what humor was, but that whole like really Picard has to mediate between a Maury Povich show, you know, like that's what it felt like to me. Like,
Now that you mention it, that's exactly what it was like.
it was just I didn't like it.
He's not the father. He is the father. All Picard was missing was an envelope, you know?
Yep. Yep. Oh, like that's. I wish I had more TOS knowledge because I'm sure that there are some more.
Not many. TOS is a pretty good program.
They do have a lot of really good ones.
I kind of felt the one with
Savage
Sturrock
Curtain.
and is that Savage Curtain?
That's the one with
Sturrock and Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
That was
it.
yeah.
pretty much what it was.
Mm.
Dude,
was
we're like
kinda-
on simpatico, right?
I know, right?
The cool thing is we see them again, right?
I
They're
believe
they're from the original series, aren't they? The same rock creatures that we see later on.
Yeah.
Who carry
Yes.
we carry the they have a ship and they're trying to Data's trying to get the people off the planet and they have some kind of weird rays where they can't use the transporters and Data's on the planet trying to convince them to leave.
that's-
The
You
that's
Shellyak.
same
you carry the
species.
corporate or something.
The
like
Shellyak.
that. The Shellyak. Is that the same people, the rock people, same exact bad guys?
I think
you
they
might
are.
be right.
Yeah. And
if I remember, you don't get a clear shot of them in TNG, but
No.
they do have that same silhouette.
Hmm. Same kind of voice too, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
believe so. Lack
That'd
of
be
a better word,
amazing if-
gravelly and kind of.
Right. Wouldn't it be amazing if they got the same actor to do both of them?
Oh, that would
the
be
Shellyak, I wonder if they're like gluten free.
Oh no!
Yeah, I took it. I took that
apologize.
shot.
You apologize for offending my sensibilities.
You have your unique Picard of the Enterprise.
And you mentioned the Enterprise fans, Hammer. I'm one of the Enterprise fans, but I do realize that about 60% of the episodes are just kind of bad.
yeah.
There's like the one with Padma Lakshmi, who's of Top Chef fame,
Oh boy.
who plays the princess who's defrosted or whatever. And
Right.
like every single character that they've built up until that point just completely goes out the window. Not just because of the pheromones or whatever, but just in general goes right out the window. But you juxtapose that with the episode with the 3 Orion slave girls, where people do act because of the pheromones, but they still, in the other scenes, in the surrounding scenes to them being, infected, they still maintain the character's persona. And in the, I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, Precious Cargo. In that,
say that Famke Janssen, Famke, how's her name pronounced?
Famke.
Famke Johnson.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
also
Same
mirrors that
episode.
TNG episode with, yeah.
Which means
Um,
totally hot in Swedish.
And it's funny because even in Precious Cargo, the writer, after it aired, made a public apology. This is, pre-Twitter days and
Oh,
everything.
wow.
So it was big news that he apologized because it was just so poorly written, and he apologized to everyone. Everyone involved was kind of like,
At least Famke did a good job acting. Padma, ugh.
awful.
She was awful.
Awful. Yeah, Famke can act. I mean,
It was great when Tucker kept putting her in her place. I was like, it's too bad you couldn't put the actor in her place.
Did I mention the fight?
No, you didn't.
I think we did last week, but we didn't really
Did we?
go on into
no,
it
we
too
didn't
much.
really mention the fight. I think the name got dropped, but we didn't really talk about it.
Oh,
Is that the one where Chakotay is a boxer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god, that was awful.
That was a piece of shit. Just total turd. Flush that motherfucker.
Chaotic space, chaotic space, chaotic space.
Anything starring Chakotay just hurts my brain.
Dude, yes. He can, suck the chrome off a trailer hitch. He's horrible.
he's a piece of walking cardboard.
It was a bad character. I don't think the actor was into it.
The only
I
episode
think
I
he
can
was there
remember
for
him,
the check, you know?
the only episode I can remember him doing a good job in is when they move through the ship and he goes through different time periods of the Voyager ship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great episode, and he did a good job in it. But that was probably the only one.
Right.
But the fact that he goes back and Seska's there, it's like, holy shit, that's Seska. I thought I'd never see her again. But it was time travel.
See, that's one of the reasons why I hated that episode, because I fucking hate Seska. Like, I just don't like the actress. I don't like the...
He's yours, Chakotay.
Yeah. Ugh.
You know, speaking of bad individual performances, the return of Kess was a bad episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which return? The return where she's God?
No,
The one where
Yeah.
she comes
Okay.
back and
And
is
crashes
all
right. Raises hell.
godlike and is
Right,
ragey and is like, you made
Remember?
me all...
This wasn't like it was. Remember? Oh, you remember? Okay, it's all good now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Now get out of here because we need more board.
don't let the door hit you on the way out, bitch.
Yeah.
Seriously,
That was just weird.
that was just a bad idea. It was just some episodes are clunkers, and that was one.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot about that one. Oh, and and another one, Unimatrix Zero.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
No, I
thought it was
did
boring, but-
not like that one at all.
I think trying to humanize the Borg was a mistake.
Yeah.
I think humanizing 7 and 9 was, a good idea, but as a whole, I don't think the Borg, I don't know, it just didn't fit. I mean,
I liked it, and the reason why is the original reason that they defeated the Borg was basically tapping into their basically their own weakness, is that there's still a biological component tied in with the machine. So sleep, easy command, shut down the cube, and then they managed to nuke it. And so when they didn't do it right in Unimatrix Zero,
No, they didn't.
but to sort of rekindle the idea that there is still a part of these biological beings somewhere in the collective, that the Borg are not completely infallible. They may have this veneer of being completely perfect, and the singularity is perfect, but there is a subtle way in that isn't photon torpedoes and phasers and all that kind of stuff. So it was I didn't hate it, but I thought they could have done it a lot better than just hamming up the emotional interaction and interplay between Seven and her love interest.
And there seemed to be a lot of I know that there's a lot of Borg, but there seemed to be too many Borg with that malfunction. Do you know what I mean? That didn't make sense to me. That was too much of an ask for me, because I could buy maybe a few thousand on one cube.
Sure,
maybe.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, there was the episode where another Chakotay gets
that Unity
saved.
episode, yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think, is something you're talking about, in that it was done well,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a tiny sort of anomaly.
Yeah.
where they actually use that to sort of ride their way out of the collective.
But to ask us to believe that there were like
Hundreds
of
thousands
of Borg that could still dream and be human in their dream. No. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all.
Seemed a little too Matrixy.
It did, yeah. That's one of the reasons why I didn't like it.
Another one on the top of my list was let he who is without sin. It's a DS9 episode, and this is the episode where Worf and Jadzia go to Risa, and they're the Debbie Downers are like shutting down the weather systems and making it making the pleasure planet a nightmare planet.
And Worf agrees with them.
Worf agrees with them. Like, yeah. I think that's them taking the political stuff a little too far.
Because that's totally likely that he would agree.
Yeah.
Especially someone who understands the gruesome depravity and destruction and ugliness of battle and of combat, even though there is he is still Klingon, there's a certain level of honor with that, but in his living with humans, he understands that it has a time and a place. It's not just blood for the blood god, anytime, drop of a hat, whatever, anything goes. And you need some kind of escape from that horror every once in a while. And he understands that humans in most species need that.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, is he really going to spend the entire episode just pissing off Jadzia instead of getting laid? I don't think so.
No.
He went against House Martok for a bit to fight for Jadzia.
Mm-hmm.
He said he went on an almost suicide run with him and the Three Stooges, Bashir, O'Brien, and Quark.
Yeah. To
get her into Stovall Corps. Like, I mean, this isn't the kind of guy who just like, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just gonna piss off my. They weren't married at the time, were they? But piss off my girlfriend, my serious love interest, just because some people are upset that they have a pleasure planet. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, that was a bad episode. And I also didn't like the oh shit, what was it?
It's Fleming out. We have 16 words for rain on Ferenginar. Right now, it's Fleming out.
Fleming out. Well, it's always storming on Ferenginar.
Did we ever see Ferenginar? Is it ever?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh. We've seen it a couple times. It's always raining.
It must be
the environmental damage is caused basically perpetual rains.
It must be DS9 episodes where we see it because
yes, it is.
No, totally.
It is because we go. There's one.
They visit Moogie.
Yeah.
They go to the chamber,
Moogie,
the temple of Moogie, where she's gaining profit, and then there's another one where they find out she's boinking Zek, and then there's another one.
I love the fact that they cower at the fact that she's wearing clothes.
Yeah.
Mom, you're wearing clothes. No, it's great.
Take those off.
In contravention to Ferengi tradition.
Oh man!
Speaking of bad episodes, how about what was the name of it? Was it The Muse? A mysterious woman helps Jake write a novel.
Yes.
Oh,
Loxana Troy.
That was horrible.
Oh god, that was a bad episode.
That's the one where Loxana and Odo almost become a thing, which honestly I wouldn't have minded.
I thought they should have gone there. I actually thought they should have gone there. Yeah. When I was watching that, I was going, okay, let this develop. Oh,
let her make pure watch.
Yeah.
Let Loxana be Odo's training wheels.
Right?
So, say no more.
Knowing, look, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
But that whole thing with Jake and the succubus,
the brain
that
vampire,
was just weird.
Yes, that was just badly conceived, bad idea all the way through, and they just kept at it. Loxana deserved better, generally.
Yeah, man, Squatch. That's Prophet and Lace, which was a really, really good episode, even though some scenes were a little hard to watch. Where Cork gets a sex change, which kind of brings up
I forgot about that.
An interesting notion given today's political climate. Like in the future, apparently you can just change species, change genders on a whim if you have a good enough surgeon like Julian Bashir at the ready. Or what was the other one? Crusher did it a few times.
Yeah.
Quark, that was the second time Quark did it, because Quark played a girl when Jadzia was going through all of her different previous lives, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Shimmerman's a great actor, so I mean, if he can play a woman, he can play a man, he can play an alien, he can play an alien man, an alien woman.
But the worst idea in all of Star Trek, to me, is embodied in one word: Wesley.
Yeah.
That's the worst idea.
I agree. I think Wesley was just a plot device, really. There was no...
I think it's a studio thing.
Well, he was a Swiss Army knife a lot of times for plots, you know.
Mary Sue.
Yeah, kind of a Mary Sue, but kind of a bit of a Jerry Sue, but in kind of the way, instead of being the subject who goes and does stuff, he would be the object that stuff got done to.
Mm-hmm.
They carried him out incorrectly. The idea was a good idea. Put somebody on the crew who takes Picard's lack of fatherly ability and turns him into a father. That was a great idea. But they never really followed that, and they did all the wrong things instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And hired an insufferable actor.
He would have been a good character arc for Picard if he would have been done the right way.
Had he the best episode, the best Wesley episode is Final Mission.
Yeah. They actually kind of used him in that idea with that episode, like he should have been.
Yeah.
That was the one where they were on the planet and the Drago had the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good CGI too.
And they had a glimpse of that fatherly, like they kind of did it, and I can't remember the episode title, but it's the one where Picard is going
His heart
to get his heart redone.
Yeah.
And,
I knew where you were going.
Yeah, and he's talking to Wesley on the shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling him about how stupid he was when he was in Starfleet Academy.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
I thought.
That was the Packlids episode.
But it had Pulaski in it.
Things that make us go. Yeah. So like he as a character is horrible, but sometimes they can use him as that vehicle to get that exposition out of Stewart. Yeah. To get that exposition out of Geordi.
Yeah.
But him as a character, it fell really flat. And again, juxtapose that with something like Ben Sisko and his trials and tribulations as being a father and eventually becoming a father of a teenage boy. Like, I mean, these
and
help
Jake
to
actually act like Wesley never acted like a teenage boy.
He wasn't allowed to. The premise made him an adult and a teenage boy.
Yeah.
Because of his brains. He was so smart that he was treated like an adult.
And Jake was your typical, oh, that girl's hot.
Yeah.
Or, you know, my friend's a moron. What do I do? You know, like,
And there's that point where Nog, applies to start. Everybody takes it as a joke. Even Jake, his best friend, is kind of like, "Are you serious? Like, what's going on here?" And eventually, Ben sort of shows this sort of paternal, like something clicks in him, and he goes, "Okay, Nog is serious. Well, then you know what? I'm going to treat this as serious."
Yeah.
And then he sort of looks at Jake and kind of. I don't think it's the same episode. I think it's an episode later where he kind of like is pushing Jake to figure out what he wants to do. You're getting to that age where you need to, you need to know what you're going to be doing. Do you want to join Starfleet? Do you want to be a doctor, a writer, or this or that? Like, and it pushes that sort of paternal mechanism. It didn't hurt any that Sirach Lofton was a decent enough child actor, whereas Wesley just like, oh God, sum him up in 3 words: shut up, Wesley.
Yep. Exactly.
And even seeing him on, I used to watch Big Bang Theory in the earlier seasons, and watching him make an appearance, I'm just like, oh God, no.
It was funny because of Sheldon's like lifelong grudge against Wesley, against Will Wheaton. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, that was funny. I didn't like that they made him friends of Will Wheaton after a while. I wish that they had kept the animus going.
Me too.
But I mean that and Kira. I wish that there had been a different Bajoran in Kira's position. Like, I wish that Ro hadn't defected and that Ro had been...
That would have been a great part if Ro had been in it.
Yeah.
Who would... Okay, so hypothetical...
But it didn't work out that way.
If Ro Laren was assigned to DS9 in lieu of Kira, does Cisco still get assigned? Or does Ro become the second officer to a Bajoran commander? Where would we see that going, just hypothetically?
I think nothing else changes.
Well, she was just an ensign, man. You know, so, I mean...
It'd be quite the leap, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I still maintain I like Kira.
You like Kira?
Yes. You say that every time I say it. I like Kira.
God,
you like about her?
I don't like her all the time.
She's a foot stomper. I think I went over this before.
Yeah, we have had the Kira conversation about 4 times.
Yes.
Anyway, suffice to say, I cringe every time she darkens the screen. It's just like fingernails on a chalkboard, and I'm even rooting for her not to have lines.
Yeah, her, Troy, and the girl from the voyage home. You've got to save those whales.
Yeah.
Oh God, not her.
It's that they're all 3 of them are the same thing.
Yep.
Not a bad actress, just a bad part.
Yeah, it's...
Kira is so badly written. You almost feel sorry for her, but sometimes at the very best, the combination of acting and writing gets up to mediocre for me. Yeah. Seriously, that's as good as it gets.
You think that the actress would go to the studio and say, "Look, you're really screwing this up. Can you
you're killing me here,
please?"
Yeah. Give a lady a bone, so to speak. But you know what I'm saying.
Something just came to mind. A TNG episode, Angel 1. Riker has to be the playboy for Beta. No,
she was pretty though. Yeah, she was cute.
A lot of them were pretty attractive, but just the open slut shirt of Riker's, where he's like, I mean, it had moments, but it was just another one of those early episodes that you're just like, why? Okay, we get it, matriarchal society, fine, but that means that the men have to act like complete and utter female caricature stereotypes.
It's funny how Troy and what's her face, the blonde chick, treat him in that episode. If there's roles were reversed, would they treat a woman the same way? Because they treat him like they're laughing at him, like like they're demeaning him. But if a woman had to act that way to do something like they'd be all upset.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to act like a whore. That's, massage, blah, 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 blah. But a guy acting like a whore, look at you, you're so cute with your earring. It's just like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound very future responsible.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't.
Early version of open season on men, in my opinion. Just saying.
Yeah, Angel 1 was pretty bad.
Mistress Beata.
Yeah.
A prototype of SJWism.
Little bit of BDSM overtone there.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, today's stream has gotten me in the mood to rewatch TNG from the beginning again.
Yeah.
I get those moods every once in a while.
Skip the first season and you'll have a better time.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones in there, but not much.
But I think I'd have to rewatch.
There really are only about 3 or 4 episodes in the first season.
Yeah,
that are quite good and really point up what the potential of TNG was. You know, the more I rewatch TNG, the better I realize it was.
It was bad from the get-go because if it wasn't for Q, Encounter Farpoint would have been bad.
Yeah,
John DeLance
you're right.
saved that episode.
He completely saved it. That's a really good point, Hammer. I hadn't thought about that.
I think a combination of him and Stewart.
Encounter at Farpoint without Q is what?
I remember watching that live as a kid when it first came out. I was like, "Oh, they got Star Trek back! Oh, I got watch Star Trek back!" And the first scene shows an outline of Picard, and then he comes into the light. And I thought to myself, "Well, that looks stupid." And it just changed my whole feeling about this show. And then further episodes, kind of changed me back, but it just immediately turned me off. I was like, that was a stupid camera angle and dramatic for no other reason, just to be dramatic. And he's not a particularly good looking guy. And that was awful.
How old were you when you saw that?
Oh, well, when was it? When was that out?
What year was
93.
Was it?
87 was season 1.
No.
Yeah.
Season 1, right.
Yeah, 87. Yeah.
87. Well,
I was
I'm
gonna say
58
85,
now, so
close.
do the math.
58, 77, carry the 9, integrate from 0 to infinity. Take the differential equation.
I didn't realize it's required quantum theory here.
As an 8-year-old boy, that was fantastic. I didn't understand the nuance of the things. So when watching it as a child, I just thought season 1 was just fantastic. I'm like, oh my God, this is even better than the stuff I used to watch with my dad, the TOS stuff. This is great. This is my track. Obviously now being a little bit more older, debatable and wiser, I can make some creative critique on where it failed. I think the second episode was it Naked Lunch,
Naked Now.
I really liked Naked Now. It was just unfortunate that it was sandwiched between Encounter at Farpoint and Code of Honor. Code of Honor is the 3rd episode, guys. Don't forget that. Well, technically the 4th.
We'll take
so
this.
So the 14-year-old, the 14-year-old, 14-year-old Hammer, is absolutely pissed off by the camera angle. I'm actually pretty impressed.
It turned me off.
I'm pretty impressed that you had that kind of, you were making that kind of judgments at that age. I mean, when I was 14, I was just like, spaceship, cool.
It didn't last long. It just, I don't know, maybe I was a little too sensitive to it.
I think you're a little more intelligent than I am, actually. That's the big difference.
I don't buy that for a second. But I think that I was just a little bit too overhyped, so I expected it to be perfect. And when something showed up that so early that was not perfect, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Being a little bit older, you kind of could pick up on the subtext and could realize what was, objectively bad, subjectively bad, and
I think they followed up that shot with a beauty shot of the Enterprise, and then I was like, "Ooh, that's a pretty ship." That might be a mischaracterization too, because the Enterprise D is a nice ship. But if I had my druthers, I'd still prefer the Constitution class. There's just something rugged and manly about them that you don't see. The Enterprise D is pretty, and
I've got a huge problem with the Enterprise D. It should be without the saucer section.
Agreed. I hate the saucer. I hate the detachable saucer.
It would look cool as a little Cobra thing, man.
Yeah.
Hammer, it was like Corvette. It was actually the opposite. It was a glory shot of the Enterprise, head on, camera pans up into the captain's ready room through the window, and then he steps out of the shadows. And yeah, it was kind of.
Oh, it was the other way around.
Yeah, but I mean, as a kid, as a literal child, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
I didn't know any better.
Interesting thing. Speaking of stepping across things, something that I did not know until I was rooting around getting ready for the show. If you look carefully at the opening of the Next Generation, this is a purely visual thing, but if you look at the top of the ship in the windows, there's a guy walking from window to window in the shot inside the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
I had never noticed that. In all these years, I'd never noticed that.
And it wasn't supposed to be that way either, was it? There was something about it was,
there was something irregular,
or an audio rigger or something like that who got caught doing it, and they just left it in. Something weird like that.
Yeah, I actually think there was something about that. I remember reading something about that, and I wasn't interested enough to poke through it. Somebody pointed it out in a comment, and so I ran the beginning of the show and stopped it, and sure enough, there's a little dot going from window to window, and it's a guy, walking across from window to window, and as the ship speeds away from you, that's when you see it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So all these years, I've
The only
never
thing that
noticed
bothered me about the Enterprise D is why would you make a starship aerodynamic?
Right, exactly.
I can understand Voyager is a little bit aerodynamic, that ship is, because it's going to land.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. You have to make it so that whatever accelerates it accelerates a frame that is capable of supporting the rest of the ship in whatever configuration it must accelerate or decelerate. That's pretty much it. It has to be able to do that, and it basically has to be able to do gravity hooks around planets and stars. Other than that, you don't really have any design constraints. So it's the ships of the future are probably going to look more like the ISS than they are these beautiful. The Enterprise D is kind of a beautiful looking ship, except I think the saucer is dumb. But I'm also a little bit with Hammer on this. The Constitution class is just a damn good looking ship, and I'm like, for example, being ex-Navy person, I like the look of the old destroyers better than I like the new destroyers, even though the new destroyers kind of look badass and super modernistic and everything. I like those old Spruance class destroyers with that beautiful curved bow line, and the gun mounts and stuff. And there's just nothing like it.
It's just someone should have stepped in and said, no. The nacelles go above the saucer section. Someone should have done that.
Yep. Somebody should have reasoned that through.
It looks like a dog without a tail. It just,
But you guys are talking about the
Enterprise D.
original Constitution class, not the movie Constitution, right?
Well, that one was fine. It still had the nacelles above the saucer section. I mean, they weren't round; they were, squarish. But
yeah, I mean, there was a little bit more texture to the hull as
I missed the red blobs on our front. Those spinny red blobs.
Yeah, the Star Collectors kind
cool,
of gave it that extra, something extra about the engines. I agree. Yeah,
They made them boring. It took away the red color.
Yeah, I wish the A had some sort of red stuff at the front of the nacelles, and instead they were just all blue.
Or spinny blue. Come on. I mean, give me something.
Yeah, exactly.
Plain.
Yeah.
It was just very plain. It was, 2 vents on the front?
Still the best entry into warp drive of all the ships ever. That busted prism look.
Mm.
It's like red and yellow and blue and all that kind of stuff. Just goes to warp. Still the best warp. And this stretchy thing into a little star at the end. No. The ship actually moving a distance.
Yeah.
And leaving a trail of rainbow behind it.
I agree. The stretchy thing is for Star Wars peons. We're manly metal space.
Speed. Because no, you're right. Because even if you think about it, what we kind of understand about physics, you would see remnants of the light while it's already long and well gone,
right?
Blending into.
You would see redshifted is what you'd see.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, the sound goes with it too, because with Next Generation, it's just boom and it's gone. But if you listen to it in the movies, there's a sound behind it. I don't know if I'm doing that very well, but there's this ringing noise behind it as it goes into warp. And
I know exactly what you mean. You're right. You're right.
On the outside, every time it goes into another level of warp, it makes that same sound. Yeah.
Yep. I know just what you mean.
If anybody has a movie, go watch the movie again and listen to the Constitution class Enterprise A go into warp.
Mm-hmm.
And it leaves that rainbow behind it. Listen to the way it goes into the warp, the actual sound that it has. It's different from all the other sounds. And all the other episodes, all the Voyagers and DS9s, all the other warp-driven ships don't sound like just that one Enterprise. That's the best one.
Yeah, that is the best sound. I agree. And speaking of warp drive, can you believe we've warped through an hour of Star Trek?
Holy shit.
We have.
Just
like part 3?
Huh?
Part 3? Do we have enough?
Do we have enough? We probably do, but the only thing is, I think we should break from this.
Yeah.
How many humanoids can we pop in this?
I actually have some ideas for next week, which I will hatch with Blind Press, just because it's her stream. It's her stream, and I'm going to give her right of first refusal.
You have to tease the people in chat.
And but one of the ideas could have something to do with Sex in the Stars.
Ooh.
Giggity.
I thought you were going to say Sex in the City. I was like, no,
not Sex in the City. Sex in the Stars. That's one of my ideas. I have a couple of other ideas. I'm going to bounce them off Blind Press, and if she likes them, she can pick them up, or she'll come up with something on her own.
Sounds good. And of course, now it is time for Shillage. Please join Skeptalk and Functional on the Minions of the Zoo tonight with the Harry channel at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. On the
Hijinks and good times.
Yeah, on the Minions of the Zoo channel. And Irate, you have Accelerated Deconstruction tonight, right?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to go over some stuff. Critical Race. This is always CRT shit.
So. What time is that?
It's 8 p.m. Central. That's 9 Eastern and 6 Pacific.
And then who are you interviewing tomorrow?
Toya D.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Toya's going to be on? Are you kidding?
Yes, the one and only Toya D. We're going to find out once and for all if she ain't nice.
She's not nice. She's fun, but she's not nice.
And the coffee stream will be on Monday at noon because my mother is being awesome and is going to be helping with my oldest school.
And we're doing Wednesdays with Skep this week?
Yes, Wednesdays with Skep this week. So, on that note, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you to my wonderful panel for joining me as always.
Subscribe and like.
Yes, subscribe and like. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Buy Blind Press's merch.
Yes, you can find it on the linktree, and you can find the merch under the shirts and hoodies and the mugs links under the linktree. And I hope you guys have a great Saturday, and I'll see you guys on Monday for the coffee stream.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Joel on True.